So today we're going to look at the Wi-Fi Shield. Specifically, I'm using the Wi-Fi Shield 101. There are a lot of different Wi-Fi shields. I'm using Wi-Fi Shield 101, which means you need to use the Wi-Fi 101 library. But you can install that if you go to Sketch, Include Library. Go to Manage Libraries right here, and you can download Wi-Fi. You can select Wi-Fi 101, and it'll just download it for you and install it. I've already done that, so you can see Wi-Fi 101 down there in the list for me. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this as a Wi-Fi client. So I have already connected my Wi-Fi Shield on top, or stacked it on top of my Arduino. It's plugged in right now. It's running the code that I'll walk through right here. Let's open this window a tad. So to show you where to get this, you go to Examples, scroll down to Wi-Fi 101, and we're doing Wi-Fi Web Client right here. So that's the code you see in front of you. And what this web client is supposed to do is connect to Google. It'll connect to www.google.com. Now, of course, the Wi-Fi, since we're not using a web browser with this, we won't see the actual image that you see when you go to google.com, but we will see all the HTML. So what's going to happen is we're going to start this thing, and we'll start up the serial monitor, and in the serial monitor we will see all the HTML that produces the Google page. So we'll see a message received from the Google server, and we'll see a bunch of HTML with text in it that we can decipher if we feel like. So let's walk through the code. First, we start with the include. So we've got include SPI.h and Wi-Fi 101.h, since I'm using the Wi-Fi 101 Shield. Now, the network that I'm connecting to, the network we're connected to, is one that I made up called XXXX. And it's just a random title I thought up. And that is an open connection. So you don't have to, it's an open network, you don't need a password. So although this code has a space for a password, we're not actually going to use a password or a key index because I decided to use no encryption just to make it easy. Okay, so then let's go down. Our server is equal to google.com. Now, because that's what we're connecting to. So Wi-Fi client, we make a client right here. And then in our setup, we start the serial interface because we're going to want to see, for diagnostic reasons, we're going to want to see what we receive on the serial monitor. So we start that. Then we get the Wi-Fi status. It checks to see if a shield is connected, which there is. And if there isn't, it'll give us this error, Wi-Fi shield not present. That should not happen. Then it attempts to connect to a Wi-Fi network. Now it's going to connect to the network that I gave it, XXXX. So it'll attempt to connect. And when it connects, it'll say attempting to connect to SSID. It'll give the name, which is XXXX. We should see that in the serial monitor. And then it'll begin the connection. And after that, it'll say connected to Wi-Fi, assuming that was successful, and it'll print the Wi-Fi status. Now, the Wi-Fi status will tell us just the RSSI and things like that, and we'll see that in the serial monitor. All right, so then we're going to start the connection to the server. So we say client connect, and we're connecting on port 80. We use port 80 because that's where web traffic goes, where HTTP traffic goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to the Google server, and then we're going to send it something on port 80, specifically a request, an HTTP request. So we make the connection, and if it's successful, then it prints connect to server, and then we say client print line, which actually sends data to the Google server. We send the following text. Now notice the first line here. This is the standard header for request. So we're doing a search on Arduino. If you look at the text there, search Arduino. Right. So this is what we're asking for is we're saying Google, please do a search on the word on the name Arduino and give us back your results. So that's what we're asking it for, and that's all in the setup. Now then in the loop, we should be waiting. We call client.read to wait for a response. So whatever response character, if we get a character from the Google server, then we serial write. We write that to the serial monitor. So what will happen is, as it sends its response, it sends many characters. Each character will appear on the serial monitor, and we'll see the raw text of of the data that we're getting back. And it'll be a lot, as we'll see, but that's what we'll see on the serial monitor. And then, let's see, when client's not connected, we stop, and that's the end. And print Wi-Fi status is called, well, actually, this function right here, print Wi-Fi status, that just prints the status of Wi-Fi, and that's called when we make the connection. So we'll see this in the serial monitor as well. All right, so let us upload this. So we're uploading the sketch. It's compiling the sketch. Yeah, compile, uploading now. Yeah. All right. Okay, done uploading. Now it is done uploading, so let us open up the serial monitor. See what we get. Attempting to connect to SSID XXXX. That's my network. So this might take a try or two. We will see. Now I'm actually creating this network. I'm making. There it is. Okay. We'll see this in a sec. Let's scroll back. Here we go. Let me stop the auto scroll so I can see what it's doing. It's printing. It's a lot of data, and it's all going over a slow serial connection, so it's taking a while to print. But let's scroll back to the top of the serial monitor and see what happened. So first it said attempting to connect to SSID XXXX. Then connected to Wi-Fi, gave the name of the SSID. Then it gave the IP address that was assigned. So it's configured for DHCP, so it got assigned this IP address. It gives the signal strength and so on. And then starting connection to server. So it tries to connect to the server. It connected to the server. And starting here is the response it got from Google server. It's a 200 OK message. There are several headers and other data, cookies, gigantic cookies. And after all that header information, the header stuff ends here. Is all our header stuff. Then comes the actual content. So starting here with this doc type HTML and so on, that's the actual HTML. So this is the HTML of the web page that would appear. Now this is very long. You see lots and lots of stuff, but this is valid HTML. So if we took this and fed it to a web browser, then we would see a web page, the Google's web page, with whatever the search results were. So that is it. Thank you.